Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about movies on this show. And in this episode, we are going back to a Patreon vote winner every month on patreon.com/mailfuzztv. Our $5 patrons get to vote between 4 films, and the theme for the vote for this month was our Lord and Saviour, Keanu Reeves. and so
yes,
all 4 films.
John Wick 3 was coming out, so why not?
Pretty much, that was the reason. So all 4 films featured Keanu Reeves, and amusingly, the oddball pick, which was probably the least Keanu Reeves movie in that pick,
we just needed to fill out the numbers.
yeah, was the one that won, and that is The Gift from 2000, which is a Sam Raimi directed film, which I'd forgotten about, actually, and didn't even notice in the credits, because I guess I just was looking away when the director's credit came up. I just noticed there on IMDb, although it makes sense because Aunt May, who from Spider-Man's in this in a small role, so clearly he met her on this film and went, you know what, I like you. You want to be Aunt May?
Yeah. Not the only casting choice that carried across.
Who else was there?
J.K. Simmons was in there.
Oh, sure, you're right. J.K. Simmons. Yeah, that's the first thing I'd say about this movie is that it's filled with people you know.
It's stacked.
We have Cate Blanchett, Giovanni Ribisi, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Greg Kinnear, Hilary Swank, the J.K. Simmons, Rosemary Harris is Aunt May, and then I'd also add on to that. I didn't know her name, but the friend Linda is Kim Dickens, who I have seen in a bunch of stuff. She was on Lost. She was in Gone Girl. She was in bunch of shit, tons of stuff.
This is a stacked cast.
Absolutely stacked. Which is why it's amazing that it's such a mediocre to bad movie.
I would go and say outright terrible movie.
Well, I mean that's that question answered. Joe, it's funny because I saw this just after.
I've been waiting since 6 a.m. to rant about this movie.
I saw this maybe around like 2002-ish. You know, it was on cable or whatever on the movie channels. And I vaguely remembered it being okay, you know, if not kind of liking it. But keep in mind, in 2002 I was 13, right?
Yes, you didn't know any better.
Right? And I didn't remember anything much about it outside of she had like, you know, she was like a psychic. that was it. Cate Blanchett's the main character, of course, so she's like a psychic. She does readings for people and, you know, does the cards and fortunes and all that jazz. And I'm watching this movie, and right from the get-go, it feels a little bit just lacking subtlety. Is the first thing I'd say before we get to anything else. Like, it's very and you know, on the nose about what it's doing. It's very obvious where it's going with a lot of things. There's a scene about 30-40 minutes into it that legitimately made me laugh out loud unintentionally. Is it
a spoiler to say which scene it is?
I don't think so. It's a scene where I'll just say Keanu Reeves talks to one of Cate Blanchett's kids, and there's an altercation of sorts, and Giovanni Ribisi shows up. This scene, for whatever reason, just really made me start laughing.
I was mouth agape in like, what the hell is happening in this scene?
It's a roller coaster. We can't really talk about it properly till spoilers, but so we'll get back to it. But I just want to say that I started laughing during this scene. And here's the sad thing: is we watched the 3 Raimi Spider-Man films, probably 2 years ago now.
Was it that long?
Yeah, because Homecoming was 2 years ago. It was for Homecoming coming out.
Shit, we did them for Homecoming?
Yeah.
God damn, I thought it was on like a year ago we watched those.
I'm sure that was 2 years ago. Time flies. And I think the sad truth of the matter is that I think outside of the Evil Dead movies, I don't think I like Sam Raimi that much.
I was thinking that as well, because I knew going in this was Raimi, unlike you, clearly.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I mean, I was a bit down on Spider-Man movies last time we watched them, but they're not terrible, and I like Evil Dead. So I thought, yeah, I mean, maybe this will be alright. And then I now come out and I'm like, no, I don't like Sam Raimi anymore. I'm just putting that out there.
I think I even like Spider-Man 3 more than this.
It's definitely more entertaining. Without doubt.
Spider-Man 1 and 2 for sure, but like...
Oh, yeah, and we were not super positive on those, were we?
No. I mean, two's got some good action stuff. That's maybe what I'd say about Sam Raimi. He's good at action scenes. This, of course, has zero action scenes. Therefore, his strengths are not in display at all. And here's the other thing. What I like from Sam Raimi is when he's doing the horror comedy, because I like Evil Dead 2. I like Evil Dead 3. That's what I like from Sam Raimi. I like the first one as well. But 2 and 3 are typically considered to be better, and I think it's because it veers a bit more into comedy. This movie is dealing with a lot of really serious topics. It's dealing with a lot of serious drama, and I just don't think Sam Raimi knows how to do that.
No, because like you said, it comes off as laughable, and not intentionally. Not in, oh hey, we're being satirical and funny with this drama. It's like, no, this is supposed to be proper drama, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, I think the other sort of like face value thing I have to complain about before anything else is that this is set in the South and everyone has a Southern accent, including Keanu Reeves. Well, he's trying to do a Southern accent at the very least.
Yes, he's also dropping some slurs.
Oh, lots of slurs. Yeah, he's like a proper full-on redneck. Like that's what he is. And obviously some are better than others. The one that stuck out to me more than any though, that where I actually couldn't believe this was a scene in a movie, and I'm like, they thought this take was okay. Is Cate Holmes. Early on, Greg Kinnear introduces Cate Holmes as his fiancée. He's the teacher at the school. Cate Blanchett's kids go there, and he's like, "Oh, this is my fiancée," and she's just got this really stereotypical Southern like accent, but it sounds like a kid in a high school play doing a voice.
It does, and we don't really like Cate Holmes at the best of times. This movie has not done her any favors.
No, she's pretty terrible in this movie. I don't think she's always terrible, but I think she's terrible in this movie.
No, but she's even at her best, she's like, she's all right.
Sure.
This was terrible. I mean, she's not the only person who's terrible, though. So I mean,
well, I mean, no one in this movie has one of their good performances, right? Some of them are good enough that they don't come off too badly in this, but this is not the best of J.K. Simmons. This is not the best of Cate Blanchett. This is not the best of who else did I say? Hilary Swank, Giovanni Ribisi. This is not the best.
Or the main man, Keanu Reeves.
Or the main man, Keanu Reeves, who's the reason why we watched this. It's not his best performance. And arguably, Keanu Reeves is not a man that you go to for performances per se. He is a bit wooden in places. Let's not sugarcoat it. But he has charisma, and when he's in the right sort of action role, he comes across very well.
Isn't it weird that he's so charismatic yet wooden? Like that sounds contradictory.
It should, but like clearly there's some nuance here that we can't just label. And I like him in Speed. I like him in The Matrix. I like him in John Wick. In these movies, he fits his roles well, and they work. And it's like, no, he's right for what he's doing here. And there's times like this when he's doing his southern voice, and it almost just sounds like his character from Bill and Ted, which is the thick Californian, like there was almost times where it almost sounded like he was doing that, and it was really taking me out of it. And I feel bad because it's funny because he's got the long hair in this. So this is probably the most John Wicky he looks in any of his movies outside of actual John Wick.
It is, yeah.
He's got the beard and the long hair.
Yeah.
But everyone's overacting, and I don't blame the actors for this.
This is probably direction.
This is probably direct because everyone is overacting and it's hammy and it's cheesy.
Yeah. If it was one or two, you might blame the actor, but it's so across the board that
it's everyone.
It's clearly instructed.
This is so in your face with what it's doing. You know, early on, I don't know if it's a spoiler to say that Cate Holmes' character is cheating on Greg Kinnear. Like very early on, it's like, you know, she's flirting with men in front of him, and then we see her having sex with someone. Like in the very next scene, it's so in your face with what it's doing. It's hard to take any of it with any weight or like, you know, treat it with seriousness.
It's so hard because it's so hard to take this movie serious because there are points where it tries to pretend to deal with, you know, serious topics, right? We're talking like abuse and stuff like that.
The domestic abuse specifically. Keanu Reeves' character is like,
and
doing that right from the start.
Yeah, and it's so hard to take it seriously when everything in the movie is just telling me not to take this movie seriously.
Yeah. As well as things where the scenes, like, they're uncomfortable and in parts just because the actions themselves are uncomfortable, but every time he speaks, it
gets worse.
It takes away from it a little bit. And then you've got other scenes where it just, you know, it doesn't work. And I, and obviously her having this ability that she's kind of psychic and she does these readings, and Keanu Reeves is calling her a witch and all the rest of it. I mean, the actual main plot of this movie is that someone turns up dead, and the police, having no other place to look to, ask her for help, and she kind of leads them to Keanu Reeves' backyard, his pond, and it's kind of from there, kind of the investigation and the aftermath of this, and
yeah, do you know what I think might be some of the worst scenes in this movie?
Sure.
The courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every legal drama, but you're a psychic, and it was terrible. Like every other sentence came down to that in the courtroom.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the prosecutors try to make fun of her for being a psychic, or sorry, defense rather, and then the prosecutor just tries his best to make her sympathetic, so it passes. It's a really frustrating movie. This sad truth is it's just not that good.
This was such a disappointing way to start my day this morning.
It's a pretty dire time. And if you have fond memories of this, like, honestly, go back and watch it again. I don't.
No. Don't do that. Keep your memories. Don't ruin it for yourself.
No, I think if you watch this again, you're going to see a lot of schlocky editing. You're going to see a lot of schlocky moments where, we're dealing with serious topics. We're dealing with domestic abuse, but we get these really schlocky scenes. There's moments where she has visions where we get these like quick close-ups that sort of like track into her face and then cut to something else, and it's like that's a cut from an Evil Dead movie. Why is it in this?
Yeah,
it feels so out of place.
Where it's dealing with it's poking at some child abuse,
and
it's just played to a ridiculous degree that, like, I know what it's saying, I get what it's doing, but I can't comprehend what it's actually showing me.
It's so ham-fisted, and it's not so much that it does anything specifically. Like, it doesn't say anything specifically controversial about it or anything like that. It's just the overacting and the extreme nature of what the scenes are around this topic are just so over the top that it's hard to just not look at it and go, this is exploitative in some way. It feels like they're all just exploiting this topic for easy drama, as opposed to actually meaning anything or having weight in the characterization or anything else.
Every quote-unquote twist wasn't a twist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I forgot there was going to be a murder, right? So I wasn't really thinking about it right away because I forgot there was going to be one.
You forgot what the premise of the movie was.
Well, I didn't bother checking it before I watched that again.
I don't blame you.
But as soon as there was a murder and there was a really obvious suspect, I went, I bet it's this person.
Yeah.
And would you believe it?
Yeah.
It was exactly that person.
And the very final twist, the post-killer twist, genuinely made me laugh at how much of a non-twist it was, and how ridiculous it is to see.
I hate to be reading this movie. Sam Raimi gave me Evil Dead 2 and 1 and 3, but
I really like Evil Dead 2. I like 1 and 3 as well, but 2 is a great movie. And then there's this.
Because a lot of horror fans do like Drag Me to Hell, but I never get into Drag Me to Hell. I couldn't get into it.
I never saw it, I'll be honest with you.
Never clicked.
Didn't look that appealing to.
Oz the Great and the Powerful was garbage.
Yep.
And it was just a remake of Evil Dead 3. If you actually look at those plots side by side, it's the exact same plot beats. He goes to a land that's different, aka the past. He uses his tools and tricks to teach them how to fight against the evil army. He even goes there at the start and they send him off on a journey. Remember Ash going to get the book? Been sent off to get that.
If you've got one good idea, make it last.
I don't even... Oh my god.
I don't. I'm genuinely struggling to think if there is a single other Raimi film that I would say I actually like outside of Evil Dead.
I'm going to check.
I'm having a quick scan as well because I'm not sure that there is, to be honest with you. Oh God, he's doing the King Killer Chronicles. That's disappointing.
I don't remember disliking Darkman. It's been a long time, admittedly.
Yeah, well, you didn't remember disliking this until today.
That's true. I mean, that's got Liam Neeson in it, though. And it's meant to be kind of pulpy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Has this not got a great cast?
Okay, but Darkman, by its nature, I think, is supposed to be pretty pulpy, so it may lend itself to
I can't say I've seen it
thing,
myself, but I mean, I don't disagree with you.
I was going to click on director. I'm one producer here.
Yeah.
He's did World War 3. Okay, whatever that is. Wait, he went from
this into Spider-Man.
Yeah, it felt like he didn't do a whole lot between Drag Me to Hell and then Osgood and Purple. A bit of a gap there. Anyway, Quick and the Dead I've not seen. Simple Plan I've not seen. I'm sure I've heard people say they like A Simple Plan. I never hear anyone talk about the Quick and the Dead though.
No.
And I never hear anyone talk about Crime Wave, which is really the only other feature length that looks notable.
I'd say we'll do it at some point, but I'm not sure I really want to watch any more Raimi movies. It's got a Metascore of 34, so we'll pass.
What's Darkman's score, actually? 6.4 on IMDb. That's not terrible.
I didn't even look at the IMDb score. I don't even know if I'm on it. I just saw a big red box. Crime Wave has a 5.8 IMDb.
Oz the Great and the Powerful has a 6.3. No, that's...
So what does this have for context? Right, for context, The Gift, IMDb is a 6.7 and its Metascore is 62. People are far too generous on this movie.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, do we do spoil? I mean, is there anything else we want to talk about spoiler free before we start talking about the?
See, I can't remember. There was when I was watching earlier. Obviously, the music was playing. I was singing it for about 3 hours because it's from something else, and I'd never quite got to what it was. I'd have to listen to it again now, but I just want people to know it was bugging me for about 4 hours of my day until I actually listened to other music, and now I can't remember it.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was really annoying.
Yeah, so we'll do spoilers. Full spoilers for The Gift. So the scene I was talking about earlier, the one that I was trying to be positive. I was trying to get into it. I was trying to sort of take
change your mind on
doing,
that now,
right? And the scene I was talking about that made me burst out laughing when I realized this is just really bad. I can't swing it any other way. And keep in mind, but at this point we'd already had the scene where Keanu Reeves comes to drag his wife out of the house and threaten Cate Blanchett, and if she ever comes near again, or you try and convince her to leave me, I'll kill you bitch, or whatever he says. I can't remember what his dialogue was, but
something awful probably.
Yeah, and he literally drags his wife, played by Hilary Swank, out of the house by foot, by her foot, and she's going through paint. It's this really over the top scene. But there's this scene where he pulls up next to one of the, because Blanchett has 3 sons, and one of them's walking to the neighbour across the road to ask for some icing because the little brother ate all the icing out the can. Icing's great. I can't blame him.
Kid's got taste.
Yeah, frosting specifically, lovely.
Oh no, I prefer the kind of the thicker icing that you can chew a little bit.
Oh no, I love the edges.
Like a roll of icing.
Oh no, the edges, the frosting and the edges of a cake.
That's really good as well. Don't get me wrong, but I think just like a roll of icing that you can just chew on. That's the good stuff.
Aye. So Keanu pulls up in his truck. By the way, he's got a buddy in the other seat. The passenger seat's filled, but filled, I meant to say. But he's like, "Hey, you're so-and-so's boy. You're walking out somewhere." And he's asking questions. It's like, "Hey, is my wife, you know who my wife is? Has she been to see your mum recently?" And when the kid's too scared to answer, he gets angry. He goes, "I asked you a question, boy," and he throws his hat at him. And then he's like, "Pick up my hat." And he goes to give him his hat, and he grabs his arm, and it's like... But that's not what... I wasn't laughing yet, right? It's a bad scene.
This is already bad, but it's not funny yet.
Yeah. And then Giovanni Ribisi, who... His character is... We'll talk about him in depth later, but let's just say he's disturbed. He's someone who likes the kid's mother. He likes Blanchett. He sees her as a friend. He comes out and says, "Hey, is everyone okay?" And he comes up, and he brings a tire iron with him. And as soon as the kid's sort of been let go and he backs away from the thing, he goes and hides behind Ribisi's truck, and he starts smashing to shit the Keanu Reeves' truck.
The window and the car and just the wing mirror.
And I was amused here, but this is not. So between the smashing the truck,
I was already laughing at the demented smashing. I'm not gonna lie.
I was laughing a little bit, not because of what he was doing, more so that this was what he immediately jumped to, and
it came out of nowhere, right?
And B, that he's doing this in front of the kid, which is the part, which is why the next part to me was hilarious, because Keanu Reeves pulls out a revolver, pulls out a gun, and he points at him. And Giovanni Ribisi, we've already heard, has got a bit of a suicide kind of wish. And he goes up and presses his head against the gun, and he says, "Do it, kill me, do it." He's basically, he's doing Arnold from Prey. He's like, "I'm right here, killing me. I'm right here, do it," right? And I'm like, so you're saving this kid by getting yourself shot in front of him. You don't think this is going to cause traumatic scarring to the young boy? And I just started laughing. It was so over the top and insane.
No, it was terrible. This was the first truly laughably bad scene.
This was laughably bad.
Because it was awkwardly bad before that.
Awkwardly bad, and then it went to laughably bad, and that is kind of the thing. And so basically, Kate Holmes goes missing, and they go to Blanchett to figure out what's
because, of course, the police do.
Yeah, because they've already searched everything that feasible, so it's like, okay, and she describes enough that it's not enough.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's a fence and there's some white flowers. I'm like, yeah, all right, that helps.
And J.K. Simmons, who's the sheriff, is like, felt like help that did. But then she has a nightmare the next night, and then sees a vision of Kate Holmes, floating in water in her tree with a chain wrapped around her.
She got that when she first was, when she was introduced in the school. They're like, oh, do you think we'll have a long happy life together? And she looks at her and she's all drowning. Yeah.
So they find the body at Keanu Reeves' pond.
Keanu's pond, yeah.
Which leads to Keanu Reeves showing up mid-scene and punching Cate Blanchett in the stomach.
Yep.
Why are you
in front of all the police.
Yeah. Why are you laughing so hysterically at that, Connor?
Just because the absurdity of where it came out of. It came out of nowhere and he just does it. I'm like, what's going on?
It's like, to me, it's not the absurdity of him doing the punch. Given his temperament and what we've seen from him, it makes sense that he would. What strikes me as odd in the scene is that he walks from the sheriff who he's talking to Cate Blanchett, who's on the little dock in the pond. Yeah. And it's a good 15-20 steps. He has to properly walk around.
Stops him.
He's walking with intention and he's shouting, "You!" And no one tries to intervene and stop him. That's the part to me that I don't get. Why the sheriff and the deputies that are there don't think maybe we should step in between these two people and just stop him from attacking someone. It's the whole thing. So then we get the extended part of the movie where they're in court. And of course, the lawyer that's prosecuting him was the guy that we saw her having sex with earlier on in the movie. And he is a bit of a sleazeball, but he's like, hey, you're going to have to tell me how this all works, because I can't have any surprises, anything like that. And he makes her cry on the stand, and she's bawling her eyes out. He's like, oh, yeah, that's not how this works. If you think I'm having fun here, I'm not having fun. Because one of the things I keep bringing up to her is that her husband died in an explosion a year ago, where he works.
Which ultimately doesn't matter at all.
No, it kind of does, because the arc of the film is that she's avoiding dealing with it, because the film ends with her taking her sons to the grave, which she's been avoiding doing. So, I'm not saying it works, but you're saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying that's the entire point of the movie, is that she's not dealing with that, and she's not getting over it, or she's not accepting it.
I understand what you're saying. I just didn't feel that was really in there.
I mean, I agree. It's a fault of the script, but I think it's wrong to say that it didn't matter, because the end of the film clearly thinks it mattered. Okay,
it should have mattered, and the film thinks it mattered, but it didn't matter.
Ultimately, but it's in the context of the movie it did, though. You can say that doesn't matter, but it equally not matters as much as everything else doesn't matter. But if we're talking about what the intentions of the film are, it does.
Sure.
It's clearly supposed to matter. It's supposed to be the main thematic linchpin of her character. And because they all say, "Oh, why didn't you see that your husband was, blah 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 blah."
Yeah, and she's already told someone that she kind of did the night before. She had a dream, and she's like, "Hey, don't go to work," and then he went to work anyway.
Yeah, like it wasn't specific. I'm sure if she said, "I saw an explosion and you're going to die," but she was just like, "No, I get a bad feeling about this."
Yeah, and obviously she feels guilt for not, trying harder.
Yes, and that's why Giovanni Ribisi's character is in the movie, because this is someone else she's kind of trying to help, but she ultimately kind of ignores him because it's inconvenient, and then things get really bad. The idea that he then represents, much like her husband, someone that she could have helped if she had tried more and didn't, and then at the end of the film, she gets kind of closure because she finds out that he doesn't blame her.
Yeah.
And even saves her, in fact.
It's this kind of weird thing where the whole thing is her failing him by not actually paying any attention, but it's okay because he saves her anyway. I think there's some mixed messaging there for me.
Why are you making me defend it? I feel like you're just...
No, because it felt like a very one-sided, right? He keeps talking about how, she's, that they're friends, that she's his friend, but she obviously doesn't see him as a friend. At no point did that come across to me. Maybe that's
no. You're being too pedantic with the meaning of the terms here. Like she doesn't see him as a typical friend, no, but she does genuinely want to help, and she says these things to try and help him because she does care. But then when everything else starts going on, she starts to ignore him because
sure.
It's a big deal in her family, and people are sneaking into her house and leaving messages and all sorts. The point of the character is that he doesn't blame her, right? Because the big twist at the end of the movie is after she realizes that Greg Kinnear is really the killer, right? The fiancé killed her because she was having an affair. And you're making me jump ahead here to explain this.
Multiple affairs.
She's in danger. Kinnear's going to kill her, and then out of nowhere, Giovanni Ribisi shows up and hits them with a flashlight and saves her. And they drive back to the police station, of course, and she's like, "You're going to have to, go back." And he's like, "I know," and he gives her back her kid's handkerchief or whatever it is, this little blanket thing that she gave him earlier on, and says, "No, don't worry." And he reiterates, "You've been a friend to me. You cared about me when no one else did." And it's kind of this closure because she then goes in and of course finds out from the sheriff that it couldn't have been him that helped her because he's been dead since 6 o'clock. He hung himself in hospital, and we'll talk about why he's in hospital in a minute. So I think it's poorly done. I think I don't think it's a one-sided thing. I think it's like, yeah, she could have helped more towards the end and didn't, but this is him saying, don't feel guilty about that. Like, you did better than anyone else did. It's giving her this forgiveness, essentially. It's not letting her off the hook. It's just...
That's fair. I think I obviously agree with what you say about the intention, but just not how it comes in the film, is it?
I always got the intention of what they were doing. I was never confused as to what they were trying to do. The problem is that the scene where she leaves the car to go to the police station, I'm like, why not just have him walk in with you? I thought that was kind of weird. But it ends on this kind of shot where it's just like the camera's looking at him in the car, looking out the window, and I'm like, yeah, he's dead. He's not real.
Yeah.
So sure enough, like, we find that out. And the reason, of course, we talked earlier on about how there's some not insensitive, but just how it handles child abuse storylines.
Yeah.
So throughout the film, we hear him whenever he comes up and talks to her. Ribisi says things like, he's contemplated suicide. I need you to help me figure out why I feel the way I do, why I think the things I think. And at one point after court, and this is the scene where she properly says, "Can you leave me alone for a while because I've got a lot of my own stuff going on." And she does it in the nicest way possible. She tries to be nice about it, but he says, "I think of my father and I touch myself. I think about what he did and I touch myself." That's what he says. And that line kind of does come out of nowhere and feels shock value. It feels very like, oh
yeah, because there's a few times before where he talks about, she's like, right, you got to deal with whatever's going on with you and your dad. Why you hate him. She keeps saying, oh, one of the first readings she uses, and I thought, okay, I get what this is doing because it was really blunt and obvious from the first thing is, oh, he took something from you, and I was like, oh god, we're going down this route already. And he's like, I mean, he took some toys away from me. And she's like, no, it's not that. It's something more. I'm like, oh god.
Well, there's nothing wrong with doing a plot like this.
No, but already at this point in the movie, I was kind of like, okay.
And then, so she gets called in the middle of the night because he's went, crazy essentially, and tied up his dad to a chair in the backyard and is basically hitting him with a belt, whipping him.
Yeah.
And when Blanchett tries to intervene, he whips her, and then he starts pouring gasoline all over him, and he does set him on fire.
Yep.
And this,
and because all throughout the scenes between them before, he talks about the blue diamond. That's all all he pictures. Look, he's got a tattoo of a diamond.
Yeah, and he sets him on fire, and it seems like he doesn't quite kill him. Like obviously police and ambulance and everything are called, and
it's hard to tell.
But he's on a stretcher at the end, and it feels so over the top. And I wasn't laughing during the scene because the subject is just too dark to ever kind of even have any humor in it, right? But it is really over the top, and Giovanni Ribisi's character is just so overwritten and so cartoonishly broken, which would probably be fine if we spent an entire movie just with him, sort of exploring why he is this way. But
he's just this kind of side plot that's just every so often pops into the movie and does something a bit crazy.
Yeah, and it's rough. I don't even know what to say about him. And then Greg Kinnear and Cate Blanchett have this chemistry, and even our friends like, hey, you two kind of are into each other, despite the fact that he's getting married. And she's like, shut up, no, wait, no, don't be ridiculous. And they do have this chemistry every time they're together. And also, because you kind of realise what he's doing then, because she goes over to him after the trial, and she's like, I don't think it was actually Reeves who did this. I don't think Keanu actually, and I'm using the actor names because it's just easier. I don't think it was Reeves that did this. And he's like, oh god, I want this to be done. And he starts asking questions, and he goes with her to the scene of the crime. So he
kind of encourages her to go there.
Yeah.
Because at first she's like, oh, I feel like, I got a dream that it was someone else, kind of, right, this feeling. And the police are like, look, case is closed. We just leave it. And he could have just left it, but he goes over. It's like, look, I think if you come out there with me, you might trigger something, and we'll find out the truth together.
I think ultimately he just wants to trigger it while they're on their own in case she does realize it's him, and if so, take care of it. Which is ultimately what, because she just gets images, she eventually sees him, and he's aware that she sees it, and attacks it, pretends that he's not going to, but ultimately does. And that's the scene. I think I don't actually think there's anything conceptually wrong necessarily with what the movie's trying to do. I think the problem is the script. The problem is how it's directed. It feels far too quick-paced in some of the stuff that it's doing. I feel like you could almost just take one element of this movie and just make a whole movie out of it, and just have that be the drama that you're trying to make.
Either the murder, or just Ribisi's character. Like, it doesn't need all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ribisi's character could work as like a side plot to tie into what the main character is going through and what it means to her. But I think he has to be toned down. I think it has to be less cartoony, essentially. It has to be a bit more nuanced, a bit more
Do you know what surprised me about his character? Is they never actually played up the the red herring angle. That felt like the obvious thing they were going to do.
Not to the characters. They kind of play up to us at one point, though, because I think he's an obvious other suspect, right? Because he is kind of crazy. But the one moment that kind of plays up to us, though, is when she first starts getting flashes when she's going to the crime scene. We actually get a shot of like him hitting someone with a flashlight, as if.
Yeah, we do. That's the only time it does it, though, and it's quite late in the movie by that point to be introducing a red herring.
Which I guess, because I think the other red herring is the lawyer, right? Like, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like you have all these characters who theoretically can be red herrings, but it never really feels like they are. It always just kind of feels like, nah, there's the person that everyone thinks done it because he's an asshole, and then there's clearly that's the one person it's going to be.
Yeah, and I felt like, don't get me wrong, doing red herrings is arguably a bit cliche, but I feel like if you're doing a murder mystery, which is ultimately what this is, they probably should have some, so it's not just, oh yeah, it's that guy, right? That's boring. So at least if there are some plausible red herrings, it's a little bit more interesting. Of okay, could it be this guy? Or maybe it's them. Whereas you never really question it at all in this movie. It's just it's fine.
And I feel like the interesting elements, because I mean, there's a reason why typically when there's a wrongly convicted person and it's like a mystery, we usually care about the character who's wrongly convicted. In this case, we don't, because so let's just assume that everything else was working and was good. We wouldn't care about him because he's an awful person, right? I think the interesting part of the story then for me would be the realization and decision after the fact that, hey, we can. I mean, he's horrible, but he's not actually guilty.
Do that, yeah.
Like there's something to be said about maybe the guilt that comes with that, or maybe the trying to like. How about a scene where she goes and apologizes to him? How about a scene? I don't know.
Yeah, like this thing, like you say, trying to free someone who has been wrongly convicted, even though they are a terrible person and deserve to be imprisoned for other things.
Yeah, there's drama to be had there. Like that's more interesting to me at that point in the movie than, oh, let's go and have a creepy scene with Greg Kinnear where he looks kind of dodgy for a little bit and it's all dark.
I mean, you just summed up about half the movie. Let's go have a creepy scene with fill in the blank.
Oh dear. Yeah.
That's just not good.
Co-written by Billy Bob Thornton. That was a random thing to look over and see.
It was, wasn't it? with Raimi?
No, with someone named Tom Epperson. So Raimi never wrote this.
Okay. I mean, doesn't absolve him of any blame.
I'm curious, so what else has he written? He did Sling Blade. He wrote that. A Family Thing, The Gift, Daddy and Them, Jane Mansfield's Car. Yeah, I'm not familiar with most of these, but I was just curious to see what else he'd written.
I was just checking which things of Raimi's he actually wrote, because obviously I know he'd written some stuff. It seems to be the Evil Dead's, Darkman, and then a bunch of Xena.
Yeah, he was like a producer on that show.
Yeah, but and then Drag Me to Hell he wrote. Yeah, I'm not sure I ever want to watch a Raimi movie ever again outside of Evil Dead.
It's going to happen.
Why?
Because now
it's going to happen. He's doing this goddamn Kingkiller Chronicle that I actually want to see because I know what that is.
Yeah, but on top of that, now we've had this rant about The Gift, where people are going to watch the Raimi movies now. But to this is the one that proves that he's a great filmmaker.
They're going to want us to do Drag Me to Hell, aren't they?
No, that's a Mean Tim movie. We can't do that one.
That's true. I don't have to watch that one.
It's a horror movie. Darkman, though, that's definitely our fair game for us.
I can't shaft that one onto Tara, can I?
It's not sci-fi.
Can we pretend?
Much like her trying to get Creed onto the sci-fi show, it just doesn't fit, alright? It just doesn't fit.
Does she realise you could just stick this overlay on and do Creed with her at some point?
I hadn't suggested that. Maybe I will. So if you really want to do Creed...
I'm good. I got no interest in Creed. You're welcome to it, Tara.
Oh dear. Her argument was that there's like a spin-off sequel to like 6 Rocky movies and it's actually good. How is that not science fiction?
I mean, it's a pretty good argument.
There was a robot in Rocky 4. We could have made an argument for that one.
And therefore, the whole universe is now sci-fi.
Oh dear. The Gift is a rough time. I like. It's a bad movie. I don't like it. It's a really bad movie.
Oh, I'm so glad because I was watching it. I woke up stupidly early. I thought I'll watch it before work. Bad idea. But I thought I was watching this and going, I really hope Pete doesn't like this because I don't know what to say to him. Like, if you do like this, have you watched it in the last 5 years? If the answer to both those questions is yes, why? Please, why?
I think what I was feeling a lot during this as well is how dated it feels, just in terms of its techniques and how it's edited and how it feels. And
yeah, because it's like, it's 2000. There are movies from around that period that feel so much more advanced.
Yeah, this feels like a movie from 1994. And not a good movie from there. I'm not saying it feels like Pulp Fiction and
no, but it does feel
Shawshank.
early 90s, right?
Yeah, it feels like an early 90s thriller that's like a based on a paperback that people read in the airport. That's not that good, but it sold a lot of copies because people read a little plot boiler.
Yeah, I know exactly the type of book and film you're on about.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah,
and. There's very little redeeming about it. Like, the most redeeming thing is just being amazed at all these, for the most part, pretty good actors just overdoing it and doing these accents and feeling like it's.
That's what I mean. Like, you tell me, oh, there's this cast, and the premise is inherently fine. I feel like, yeah, I'm down for that movie, which is pretty how it got made. And then you watch it and you get this.
I mean, if you really want to see Kate Holmes' boobs, I mean, you've got that.
I mean, sure, but if you're that desperate, just Google it, please. Don't sit through 2 hours of this.
I mean, that's the one thing I could say, maybe, that's objectively just kind of interesting.
Objectively interesting. Not even necessarily objectively good.
Well, I have never watched the movie because someone gets naked in it. I'm just saying that some people might be attracted to that. It's like, oh, someone gets naked in this.
It's true, but thankfully we grew up in the age of the internet and didn't have to worry about that.
True. Anyway, I
have nothing left to say.
Yeah, I think we're done. What are you rating The Gift?
3.
Yeah, 3 sounds about right. I think lower than that doesn't apply because it still feels like a studio-produced movie that has money behind it.
It's just about enough technical competency.
Yes, even though I do think there's some really dodgy edits in terms of...
Yeah, it's inappropriate editing, but it's still competent in terms of, okay, someone at least knew how they were editing it.
Yes. And has J.K. Simmons ever been young?
I don't think so. He had a proper beer belly in this one, though.
Mm-hmm. I got really mad at this movie though, because at one point he leans over to reach for a donut, and it's like a Krispy Kreme box of donuts,
and then he gets mad that someone's taken the eclair.
He's like, or sorry, eclair, as he says it.
He does, doesn't he?
The eclair. I feel like he's not actually doing much of an accent, but he does say eclair in that really southern way.
He does, yeah.
And I'm like, damn it, I want a donut or an eclair now.
Yeah, I hadn't even had breakfast at that point. I was starving.
Oh, I love a good donut. Yeah, 3 out of 10. You're much better off watching the 2015 film The Gift, which
that's a good movie.
Is starring Jason Bateman and is also starring and directed by
Joel Edgerton.
Thank you. And yeah, I heard him say his name recently, and I was like, that's how you pronounce it. I've been saying Edgerton for like ever.
I've gone 50-50 every time I've said it up until I found out for sure.
It's Edgerton, yeah. No, I was doing it wrong, but Edgerton just sounded right in my head. Oh well. That's a
good movie.
It's not a perfect movie, but it's actually, it got more impressive the more it went on. It did a really neat thing, I think, about halfway through that I thought.
And it was
really
never laughable.
I still don't remember it being laughable. No. I saw it once in the theaters. It's been a while now, but
yeah. But it's like I say, it's not perfect, but it's good. I enjoyed it.
Can you believe
it's worth watching?
Keanu Reeves was in this a year after The Matrix came out. This is 1 year later.
He obviously agreed to this before he thought The Matrix would be a hit.
They were probably all excited to work with Raimi.
Because he's dropping the N-word in this right after The Matrix.
Yeah. Although bizarrely, as like an ultra-white cast, there's no one for him to call that. He just has to make a comment.
Yeah. He says, "Oh, you're as bad as."
Yeah.
I can't remember what the other thing he threw in. There was two things.
Yeah.
And it ends.
I mean, I'll give them this. It told me exactly who this asshole was within the first 5 lines.
That was
of dialogue.
like his first scene, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I see what we're doing with this guy.
Yes. Oh well, that's the gift. It was not a gift to watch, unfortunately.
I can't believe they voted for this. Out of all the Keanu movies we could have watched, this is what we got.
Yeah, I'm actually really mad Destination when
That looked like we were talking about Keanu at the start being kind of that awkward wooden charisma. That looks perfect for that movie.
Yeah, an awkward romance where he's too nervous to talk to her. Yeah.
Yeah. They're kind of both a bit dicks to each other.
Yes. For the record, in person, Keanu seems like one of the nicest people in Hollywood.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say in person, I never met him, but
By all accounts,
yes.
He is a wonderful human.
From everything I've heard, he seems like a lovely fellow.
Yes.
But he's been in better movies than this one.
He damn has.
As has most of the people.
One of them this month. I've not even seen it yet, but I'll put my reputation on it.
Well, the fourth one's got a date already, so we better get on that.
And the TV show, kind of. In a roundabout way, because that's coming before the movie.
Yeah. But John Wick's not going to be in the TV show. The TV show's...
Yeah.
Maybe they'll cameo, maybe they'll...
He might have a first or last episode thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
John Wick's better. Just go watch John Wick on repeat instead of ever watch it. If you ever find yourself going, maybe I should watch The Gift, just go and put John Wick on again.
No, hey, I watched Speed fairly recently. I still think that holds up for what it is. I still think The Matrix holds up. Gift?
I watched The Matrix a couple of years ago. That held up actually better than I remembered, because it had been a while, and in my head I was like, this is probably not that good anymore.
Do you want to know why it holds up better than you remember? Because you're so far removed from having seen the sequels now that you can just enjoy it on its own.
I think that helps. Naturally, I didn't watch the sequels this time. I just went, I'll watch one and I'll enjoy a damn fine movie.
Of course. So yeah, I'm sure me and Tara will do Matrix on the Ace at some point.
Yeah.
And
she can suffer through the other two.
There was a conversation not too long ago where Connor was upset he didn't get to do Terminator 1 and 2 because it's going to be on the A's, and then I reminded him that it also meant doing 3, 4, and 5, and he's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's alright. I'll just opt out of that.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind watching. I can get through 3. I can get through it. I don't hate it. It's not a good movie. I don't hate it. 4 I did hate, and 5 I never actually saw, so any excuse not to have to.
That may be the next thing with J.K. Simmons in it I watch, so I look forward to that later in the year. But yes, that has been The Gift. This has been 121 in Flux. Do let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fudge for channel updates. If you want to support the show and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfudgetv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month. And for that $1, you get these Influx episodes a week early. You get a bonus episode of the Ace that I've been talking about. You get a bonus episode of Screams After Midnight that we've been talking about. And you get a 90-minute show, give or take, every month, starting just this past month, where me and Connor just sit down and talk for like 90 minutes, and we don't have a plan or a script or a topic.
We just chat some shit for a bit.
Yeah. Maybe I'll come up with some like topics, just random topics that we can
just in case
we can use in case of emergencies where Connor stops being interesting, as if he ever started.
It might happen eventually.
Yes.
And obviously, if you go to the $5 tier, you get to vote on making us watch a movie every month.
The gift apparently is what.
You can watch. You can vote to make us suffer. It seems.
But you get to do 2 things. You get to vote on a movie once per month, as you will also get to do for Screams and Ace. But you also get to add movies to the vault, and the all shows have a thing like this as well, where it's like a to-do list of movies where you get to submit films to. The list itself is public, but patrons at the $5 tier get to add films to it, and then every so often we'll pick one to watch and do a review of, or we'll maybe put 4 of those into the vote for the month.
Yeah, every so often we'll get YouTube comments going, "Hey, do this movie, do that movie," and maybe we'll do those movies eventually, but priority goes to anything that's in the vault.
Yeah, there's too much to do, so it's a way of prioritizing a little bit. when we don't have like an idea for something we want to do. So go have a look, see. But otherwise, that is us. And yeah, I've mentioned the other movie shows, but I'll just to reiterate: the Ace, the Atomic Sun Experiment, is a sci-fi movie podcast, and Screams After Midnight is a horror movie podcast. It's a lot like this, but with specific genres and people that are better than Connor. So thank you very much for watching.
I will take umbrage with that. Tim is not better than me.
I don't know.
Tim likes the boy.
That's the most compelling argument you could have given me. That's the most compelling argument you could have given me. That is what I was. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys. We'll see you next time. And if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.